Here we go. Welcome, welcome. Start of a new week. Happy Monday, everybody. Boom. Got the red, the power color. Finish this orc. Yeah, I'll put my phone in. That's fine. Gonna finish the orc maybe today. Might actually be on Wednesday, but we're gonna do our best to get there. I think I know what I'm gonna work on today. I have it open in Rebel, and let me bring this down a bit. There we go. Yeah, I think I know what I'm gonna work on. I have some new references up, so I'm gonna show you guys what those references are. They're from other like Magic the Gathering cards. I was contemplating how to handle the saturation on certain parts of the piece. I think I have it figured out. I think I'm gonna lock down the color vibe that we're gonna go with. And yeah, just kind of push it from there. Push some paint around, render out a little bit of stuff, but I think I'm going to keep this one fairly kind of loosey-goosey. I might do more heavy rendering around the face, I don't know. But overall, we're going to, excuse me, we're going to embrace the kind of thick paint stuff. So let's kick on over. Boom. There. So here's where we kind of left off. I might correct some of the perspective here. I mean, I think it actually looks okay. It's a little crooked, but not bad. What we're really going to do, we're going to keep these reds subdued. I'm going to blast this with some saturation of red. The belt with some saturation of the lighter brown. And let me show you what... So, yeah, let me move my mic over here real quick. Move my drink right there. There we go. Something like that. So you'll notice quite a few of these have saturation done in such a way that you can tell the... There we go. A lot of subdued neutrals, and then you get a blast of kind of the saturation around the focal points. So something like this would work really well for what we have. In fact, even the light, like hitting the axe in this sort of way, should be pretty good. You can see now here it's almost the opposite. The background is what is heavy saturation, and then the foreground is a little more subdued as far as the color saturation. The rendering is higher in the foreground since it's in focus, but yeah, it kind of plays off the backlight versus front light type stuff. And then our just standard ones right here. But yeah, same thing here. Pretty desaturated, except for these nice hits of nice saturation around where the focal points are. And then we just got some Greg Rutkowski here. Really like these because this sort of brings in those blues and grays into the warms, which is the thing I'm gonna try to integrate a little bit. But what we can always do at the end, we can bring it into Photoshop, put nice canvas textures on it, and then just start kind of going to town that way. Yeah, you'll see here, even this is fairly neutral. I know it's a warm palette. You have the kind of gray and the cools and stuff like that, but your light is in the warms. And then definitely this right here. Good old Tyler Jacobson, man. Guy knows what he's doing, for sure. You have these nice bright hits of saturation, but overall, I mean, this could almost be a grayscale painting besides where the saturation is, but like, yeah, that's kind of the vibe we're going for. We're gonna kind of do that, so I think we're actually at a decent spot for that. We can kind of embrace what we have here, subtle blues and greens and all that stuff, but then here is really where we're gonna hit, and like, when I say hit, I'm talking like we will like this type of hit here. Like that. Really kind of embrace that. So and this is the newest update for Rebel, so it actually feels a little wonky right now. It'll take me a second to kind of dig in and make this feel right. Yeah, it's catching some of my... Yeah, see, I'll put marks down and they won't show up. That's sometimes what happens when you get the newest version of Rebel. This doesn't quite sync up the device yet. It has to kind of warm itself up. Maybe a hot fix, something like that. So, I'm gonna boom in a little bit. See what I mean? Like, I'm actually moving my mouse right now. I'm actually making a mark, but nothing's happening. But then it catches. It's one of my small little pet peeves with Rebel, is every once in a while, that kind of stuff starts happening. The blender brush, even the blender brush is doing it too. Let's push in some of this right here. This, there, brown. It's still not, look at that. There it is. Now it's finally moving. Gosh, what is, see, look at this. I'm literally doing big circles. And there it is. See? Every now and then, ends up happening. Okay. Got those. We wanted bright light hits. Might actually save this out and take it into clip. We can also do kind of the bright leather look here. Bring that around. And I want to keep these reds a little more subdued and not super aggressive. We'll hit this. These marks are not going down right. Serves me right for doing an update right before we go live. We got that color key. Something I do want to do though. We wanted to bring this in. Add a little bit more depth. I'm going to export this out real quick, and then we'll open it in... we will open it in Clip. Over. I'm going to save this as a PNG file. Okay. Here we go. It's nice to have like responsive brushes. And now they'll... I bet what it is I bet I just need to restart my computer. And that'll kind of fix that issue that we're having on Rebel. Because I think the way it ties into the drivers, like Windows Ink and all that stuff, I think it requires a restart after you do a update. Get a little bit of light right there. That's the thing I have to keep in mind is some like cast shadows, you know. Yeah, we're gonna saturate that in. It's nice because what we can do is we're gonna use some nice kind of a brightness contrast layer trick, and we're gonna do a few other things to kind of bring in some cinematic-esque lighting to it. Make it look pretty good. I get this nice, almost like a tethered look to it. And then here, see what we have. Turns it into almost like a meat cleaver. And what we can do is back, get some of the shine here. I'm gonna correct it in a minute if it the way we're thinking. Nice is whenever we start coming in and like adding blemishes and stuff to this, should work pretty convincingly. We're just flying off the cuff. Going for it. Does alter the values a little bit, but that might be worth it. Just get rid of that top. And we can just use this as our there. Let's change the shape of this. And what's cool is we can come in, sell some of these scratches and stuff. A nice blizzard move to do. Come in. Yo! Alexander, hello, hello. We are gonna just render this stuff out today. I think what'll be fun is if we do something like it's see, we could maybe go for how this is lit right here with a really bright hit of light. And it hunkers down into a little bit more darker saturated shadows even. We do like let's do a multiply layer. And then let's try this. We need to establish where the light is actually coming from. Like a slice of light. that. And then let's come up here. Color dodge. And with a color dodge and a lighter color, we're adding in some of the smog smoke. No. To differentiate different planes. Silhouette. But I think I don't know if I like the little skyline thing. I think it's not making a lot of sense. So we can drastically check something. Yeah, because see, they have kind of that same motif where this stuff kind of circles around. Actually, there's a lot of that motif you can see. And like, see, this is kind of that diagonal right there. Of course, the diagonal right here. Diagonal right there. There's a lot of that. What did Greg do? Oh, he just had some ruins in the background. Kind of faded away. Oh yeah, then Tyler did some design elements there. Like craggy mountain pass right here. You could maybe do something like that. See, they already have that motif kind of built. We could do something like that, maybe. Here's what we'll do. Let's come over here. Get rid of this. We're gonna layer this down, merge there below. Now that's part of the painting. Below. We can add that later. So let's just paint this out of here. And this gives us a lot of opportunity because now it looks like really muggy. You know what I mean? Now everything is muddy. Very kind of... This gives us a little bit more opportunity, I think. That... Actually, get rid of all these little cuts. Right in here. rid of it. That way we just kind of have a muggy, cloudy mess right here. But ironically, could be a lot of beauty in here too. We're just gonna zhuzh this up with some brush strokes. I wonder if... Hey, Raven! Hello, hello! Greetings to Germany! Friends in Germany, hope you're doing well today. Thank you for hanging out and watching. We are, doing a little bit of a triage on this piece. Woke up feeling feisty today, so we are taking the surgeon's knife to this one. I want something, a structure standing. I don't know. And have some ruins here. Bring in a little bit lighter. I'm almost treating it like a Warhammer piece. Like a could do that. Just do some random lines and stuff here. Yeah, see, that's almost like a war camp or something. Kind of nice because the background almost doesn't matter too much, you know? Trying to figure out what the best way to light our orc pal should be. Down. Those two are kind of too close in value. Let's darken this back up. Let's actually get rid of that. The nice thing about art, you can just destroy it and it's fine. Like, never be too, you know, precious with what you have, because you can always change it. Maybe. Come over here. Add some more there. Try. Scrap that. Try something real quick. Friction layer. A gradient map. Color. Little bit of color here. Quite a few of these we can choose from. Mert, my friend, my man. What's up, brother? That's a good one. Very green. I think the greens work in this. Oh, that's a cool one. Almost gives it like a sunrise behind the mountain type look. You know? There's a lot of these good ones here. It's pretty good. Almost like cinematic. The cyans and the oranges. Here's a secret tip, guys. If you ever want your stuff to look more cinematic, like it's from a movie, add oranges and cyan. That's kind of a very popular lookup table that cinematographers use whenever they want to make their stuff look more like cinematic. Is you'd get that color spectrum. It's nice because they're complementary colors, essentially. You have a nice vivid warm and a nice vivid cool. But It's the old orange cyan trick. Even if you Google it, orange cyan, you're gonna find all kinds of color theory videos and stuff that talks about Hollywood using orange and cyan all the time. And once you know that color pattern, you can find it everywhere. That one. Yeah, I keep coming back to that one. So let's keep that one. Here, let's clean up the edges. Traits right around work. Go ahead and erase some of this. Actually, go ahead and paint some of this back in. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, these are fun colors to use. The gradient map really comes in clutch. It is real helpful. Kind of embrace these very bright highlights in the back here. Maybe do the same thing here too. Yeah, this is more moody and tempered and now we can merge visible to new layer. Now we can come in and start really sort of rendering this out in the focal point areas. This is what we shall do. Using these colors as the main guide. You just add some bones there. See if I can get away with that. A mandible? Let's see where at. Talk about one of these little dudes right here, or? Really, at this point, we're still just kind of stuff down and then find it here in a little bit. Oh, yeah, right here. So yeah, I thought a cool little, like, skull or something, but maybe it doesn't need to even be there. And it's, like, slightly off tilt. Like, it's... I wonder if the loop came in almost like some sort of deal, it might make more sense. Or actually, if we do this. The design this way. Angled. I'll need to have the lighter outside. It's almost like you have the shoulder pad feeding into his, or the strap feeding into his mouth. If we don't like it, something tells me we will be revisiting this and maybe a little bit. Getting as much attention. go. Something like that. Let me smooth out this plane shift right here. Down in there. There we go. The weird nose render thing. That's fine. Let's course correct here. And a little bit of like roughly kind of a fold, but not really type thing. It's kind of coming out from the belt. This chain look a little better here. A little bit of a tangent there where the chest and the go from under here, so let me have a bit. Introduce some hits of light right there. Shadow. feel like it needs some sort of like big bombastic hit of something. I was thinking maybe a try this. Airbrush and color dodge. Right. Like that. And I wonder if, like, yeah, we just kind of use this as the, like, for it after. Because the thing with this type of lighting, you need to get rid of, see how the black lines are like now very, very pronounced? You almost need to completely get rid of all of the black lines. Simply because they sort of take away from the effect. Like, I think this type of dark in the eye socket here, but you see how, like, the nostril, now there's hardly any black at all. That's sort of the vibe. Like, that's kind of what you want the effect to do, is to blow out all of the blacks. But to take care of that. And the thing is, you don't want to add a ton of like different effects, you know? Because at that point you're putting a hat on a hat. You don't want to like over accessorize the painting. So I guess it comes down to, if we want the really grounded look, because I mean we could have this and lower the, but see, whenever you lower the opacity of that effect, it's not nearly as like, it's almost like better if you just don't have the effect to begin with, because it just, that makes it kind of seem wrong. But whenever you blow it out, like, that looks deliberate. Like, the light is actually doing that, and, you know, it's catching on armor, it's catching on. So that's why you want to keep that as strong as possible. Or do we want the muddy, kind of grimy feel of the more grounded piece? Because if so, we have to find our interest elsewhere, which is why I was thinking like a brighter saturated red for this to kind of bring in the eye. Because yeah, this is harmonious. It's definitely harmonious. The only thing is, there's no real place for your eye to look. That's sort of the main idea. Like right now it'd probably be these things on the belt, but that is definitely not the intent. Because if we come and did this, then the focal point, in my opinion, because of the hit of light, will be the entire silhouette. But without that, we have to kind of decide, you know, what do we want to do about our focal point? See, I do dig that quite a bit. Like if we were to come in here. Get that wet brush. I'd pick the non-black color. See what I mean? And I would come in here and get rid of those really harsh but even do the same thing up here with the hair. Like I would keep it much darker, but it would be like this. Actually, it'd even blend in. Almost make it like a gradient. Lighten that up. Some of these a little darker, but overall, see what I mean? We would kind of surgically remove these like super darks. Keep it maybe there for the eye. Stan! Hello, hello. Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. That design on spikes are coming up. We'll just get rid of them. If I remember to add them back, great, but if not, figure something out. Yeah, see, now we're getting rid of the harsh lines, which is good. And then if we take that black, slowly kind of meld it into this nice red that we have. You still keep the darker color, you see, but it's less, doesn't jump out at you as much. Here, that. See, and I always talk about how lighting will kind of tell you what your values need to be. That's absolutely true here, because you can see it very, very dark, but now with this, showing us the places where we can kind of get away with correcting it. You know, keep these darks, but now because of the light and the way the light works, it's getting rid of all of these just super dark passes. And then we'll be able to kind of zoom out and look in a minute and kind of see where our new tangents are, because if we're getting rid of a lot of these darks, might end up with some more tangents, kind of places that confuse the viewer's eye. Maybe how we would get rid of those. And like the less is facing the light can kind of stay black. Probably not pure black, because it's just gonna break the illusion of a light hit. But like it can stay much darker because it's facing away from the light. You know what I mean? Because remember, whatever faces the light gets the light. But this part of the body facing us is actually kind of out of the light. However, because the light behind us is so intense, it bleeds over. It like bleeds over the form. That's why we're kind of coming through here. But see, like areas like this, the ambient occlusion areas, we can actually keep, you know, almost black, really. We just need to sell that idea. You know what I mean? And like here, we can darken this up a little. This up. Remember, this light's going to be so heavy that it's actually going to hit a whole lot of stuff. And of course, if we wanted to, we could get one of these really bright looks. And do little hits of rim light here. But it's not required. Really not required. We could do it, but it's not needed. Didn't get rid of these. I think this is really going to help getting rid of the black marks here. Like I said, we'll keep it darker. We're going to get rid of the really stark black. Smooth that out, give those details a little bit of room to breathe. This lighten up that shape there. There we go. Actually lighten this up a little bit more. It seemed a little too dark. A few of these, not every one of them, a few of these with some light. Because if you do every one of them, it like flattens everything out. But if you just catch a few of the fur pieces with that lightest light, it actually gives a bigger like sense of depth and form. That's the trouble I see with a lot of artists that are using rim light for the first time, is they like to put it on the entire silhouette, and I think that can easily kill, and very quickly too, any sense of like actual form wrapping around or anything. I would say use the rim light stuff pretty sparingly. You actually don't need a lot of it. It is very much a less is more kind of effect. I wonder, is this a better look? Oh. That works better or worse? Move the deal right here. Alright, I think I like it better with the hair coming down. With like the big thick strand. It breaks up that shape pretty well. Now I wonder if I want to keep that chain around his waist, or if I just want to make this kind of a more leather belt. You know. A little effect that I've been liking a lot lately is, you know how we come and do the big impasto sort of brushstrokes? It's fun to do those same type of brushstrokes with a hard round brush or like a wet soft brush, uh, because you get some really nice painterly looks, even if it's not a painterly brush. Kind of this stuff right around here. It's a little messy, but I think it actually has a little bit of interest too, which is pretty cool. And really, I think this is a way that, you know, some of the greats like to render, like the Tyler Jacobsons and Carla Ortizes of the world. They really go for this type of look. Secret is knowing like when and how to use it, you know, just like anything else. Need to come in and render these teeth a little bit, because they also are catching light, you know? So the bottom lip should definitely get some highlight. 3 polygons. What's up, my friend? The heck did I not know? Orc's diehard fan here. Oh, hey, there's still time. You still got what, 3 or 4 days? So yeah, I don't know who came up with it. But I wish I could take credit, because yeah, Orc-Tober, genius idea, right? And yeah, on the Discord server, I just said, hey, and this was like only a week and a half ago, so if I was smart, I would have done it at the beginning of October. I was like, hey guys, if you want to do, you know, an Orc-Tober thing, you can work on a piece. And that's actually what we're going to be doing next week. One of the art streams is going to be just going over everybody's Orc-Tober pieces from the server. Just looking at them and appreciating. And then some of the artists have said, hey, I have a request for something you can look at, like I had a problem here, or you know, I want maybe some critique or something like that on this. And we'll do that as well. But only if the artist requests it. I never want to be the unsolicited advice giver, just because I don't know what the goals are. You know what I mean? Every artist has their own goals. But you never want to like step on the feet of the goal. Because maybe my advice might work if it was for like another project or something. You know what I mean? Like, never want to get too ham-fisted with advice stuff. I think so far, what, we've spent about 6 hours on this one. Not bad. Not a bad little, you know, but this is of course over the course of like a week and a half. Absolutely, and I'm gonna post the old link to the Discord in the channel, so that way people are out there and they want to join along. Really, just join the Discord anyway. It's a fun group. I'll just kind of hang out, do our thing, talk shop. But I do have one plan for November that I'm very excited about. Selfishly, I might use it to try to like get my chops up. I haven't announced what it is yet, but to get my chops up to maybe get hired on at a specific client, a type of project that I've wanted to do for a long time. It'll probably be another month-long thing. Another fun month-long activity, you know? Let me get rid of this. It's a fun group. I dig it a lot. Very supportive community. We're all kind of in it together to learn, you know what I mean? Like, no eliteness. I don't think that's super interesting as like, you know, some art communities have kind of the elite members that holier than thou, and it's like, no, ain't about all that. This. This. Wait. Yeah, dude, I saw that at the end of last stream that you got all of the dude, Proko's, I mean, if you learn from anybody, he is one of the toppest of the top tiers. And what's cool is he has the full understanding of like the atelier method. Like if you were to go to quote unquote art school, it would be very much because him and Marshall are like, those guys have probably put, you know how they say there's like 10,000 hours to mastery? They probably did 10,000 hours just in like figure drawing 201 or whatever. You know what I mean? Like they have it down literally to a science. And yeah, he's both of those guys. Like I love their, I don't know, are they still doing their podcast? I hope so. I listened to that for a while. I like the fact that they're the type of art podcast that can argue if you should study Hogarth or Bridgman as far as like anatomy. And I can dig that sort of podcast. Like, you know, because everybody's a disciple of someone. Like I'm very much a Loomis guy. Out of the Bridgman and the Hogarth, I would probably say I prefer the Bridgman method more so. It feels a little more weighty. Like it has a little more weight, but both of those methods, there's dozens of methods, but those are the two that a lot of people come back to. Because there's one way, I think they're both good because they don't worry about anatomy so much, and they worry more about shape language, which I think is way more important. Because like, I don't care if my anatomy is right on this orc. I don't care. It's probably wrong. It's fine. You know? But like, we get what this is supposed to be. He's standing there, you know? Like, I think that's way more important. Can you sell the idea of what you're trying to put across? And I think both of those, Bridgman and Hogarth, do that really well. People just have the preference on like how they want their rendering done. Every once in a while. Yeah, well, and those two guys are, to say they are busy is understatement of the millennium. But yeah, I dig their podcast because those guys definitely know what they're talking about. No question. I mean, even the people that Proko gets for his channel to just come and hang out for a little bit. Hey, you know, come on. You know, he had Carl Kopinski on, but he's like, oh, here's Steve Houston. Hey, come on, let's hang out. What? One of the best living, you know, painters, period. He's just gonna come talk shop, do a little demo. It's crazy. Like, for all the BS that the internet has given us, then there's stuff like Proko that, you know, it slightly evens the scale, you know, or more so, it puts more weight on the good side to help it even out a little bit. I do wonder, what if I get rid of this? Extend this out and around. I think the design would be cleaner. So if I did that, and then I also got rid of this chain. Because those were the motifs that I wasn't quite sure about. You know. I mean, I think that does a good idea of, like, breaking up the torso silhouette a little bit. But... yeah, oh, right. Yeah, Kim Jong-gi. That might be... yes, because I think I know the video you're talking about. Well, because he had Kim Jong-gi quite a few times, if I remember correctly. But the one I remember is whenever Proko's filming Kim Jong-gi doing stuff, and then somebody yells out, "What brush do you use?" And he stops painting, and like turns around and is like, yeah, because that's the secret to Kim Jong-gi. It's all in that brush. It's so fun. That's such a good video. So I think they're hanging out at a museum before one of Kim Jong-gi's like expos or like showcases that he's doing. Super funny. I can't believe someone had the nerve to ask him that. It had to have been a joke. Because there's no way you're even aware of somebody like Kim Jong-gi and ask the question, what brush do you use? Use the function of the belt. Yeah, because the actual belt itself is the leather, right? This is more like this piece of iron, this like, not quite a belt buckle, but it's more of like the accoutrement type thing on the front, was connected because there was a chain around where the leather belt was. But yeah, so what we can do real quick, because the nice thing about the chain, I'm lazy when I make a chain, so if we need to add it back, I can add it back in like 5 seconds. But if we just come in here, here. See, and I'm just kind of color picking, that way we can mix some of these colors. Maybe I can kind of buckle that in here. Get a darker. Maybe do like a little cast shadow right here. See, that's a nice thing about paintings like this, is they're never too sanctimonious, you know what I mean? You just try stuff. And if it works, great. If not, we change it. No biggie. Then what we can do to actually bring a little bit of something to this, we can have her really go all the way around this and under. Different variants of lines and there. It's true. And it may not even need anything, especially if I follow kind of this form right here. It may not. May not need anything. Then we get the wet brush, the blend magic. Funny how the blending is the thing that makes the fur look right. Because not everything is equally rendered out, you know? Skulls for the skull belt. It's true. That's true. And what we could even do, like if we were to put like a... Oh yeah, here's what we do. We can smooth this out for a second. So... You just sort of copy that diamond motif right there that we have with that skull. You know? This. It. Follow that. A little more. More skulls, or do we want it to be more like the stud? Hey, what's up, Brent? Nice is you can use kind of these more wet round brushes almost as like smudge brushes. Just go over them a little bit and kind of mess up your perfectly sharp edges or perfectly opaque brush strokes. And it does a good job of softening it for your viewer's eyes, you know. Just sort of like color picking around. Way easier. Try this. Yeah, we're kind of on the actually, let me just get rid of this one entirely. We'll let his chest out, you know. Hens like, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much. Appreciate having you. Hope you're doing well. Let's go get a little bit of chest action in here. That little hopper one. It's fine. We can even highlight on the pet here. a little too much. I might have to subdue it a little bit, but we'll... Get some of that Boris Vallejo rendering down here. Yeah, and this actually makes the shoulder pad look a little more pronounced too, which is cool. A nice kind of byproduct of that. Don't even really know what the design of it is, but looking cool, so we keep it. You need her to be slightly brighter. See, just those little dot hits of rim light. You don't need to do the whole silhouette because it'll actually flatten stuff out. Oh, that's true. We could do a lens flare. Let me bring some up right here. That's a good idea. If we're gonna go for the old kind of special effect, let's do it. Here we go. We bring in nice lens flare. Put it on a screen. Probably need it right here. Select all, edit, copy. Set in. Yeah, the cool thing about this is you can really bring it anywhere. I think it makes the most sense right here, kind of where we have our biggest hit anyway. Something like that. What's nice about this is you can also, like, since it's its own layer and stuff, we can just color pick the really bright stuff. And then if you want this to look painterly, you just literally paint on top of this. And it's gonna make it seem like you painted a lens flare, which is crazy. The nice thing is, whenever you have it kind of this small, you just sort of move it around. Like if we wanted, oh, right there works well. And you can even rotate it a little bit. We needed it rotate it, or if we want to rotate it like kind of the direction of the, you know, the mountains there. So a lens flare is actually decided by what lens you are using. Because if you have like an anamorphic widescreen lens that you're filming something through, the lens flare, of course, it shows the shape of the lens. So like the way it kind of bows out or kind of does any of these things are on the horizon line or whatever, actually is dependent on that. So for like a nice cheap special effect, we can just use any of them. You can find them on Google and just like throw them in here. But whenever you're working like on a commercial or you're doing concept art for like a film or an animatronic or something like that, it's actually kind of important if you're using the special effects like this to know which lens this is or what they're going to be filming with. Is it going to be in a red camera? Is it going to be an IMAX? It's actually pretty helpful because that way your stuff can consistently be shown. Like, and it's that extra little something that producers or art directors or whatever be like, oh, they got it down to like a lock and key type of thing. So now we can hire them for whatever because we trust their judgment. Yeah, so we have something like that even. It's cool. Actually, what I could do. Funny, we see how all those dark lines and stuff, after hiding them, the whole piece looks way more coherent. So, while I'm here, I'm going to adjust this silhouette. I realized this is also like a piece here. Like a spaghetti western, yeah. I mean, that's true. Kind of gets that nice vibe to it. Yeah, here we go. Needs to come up here. Out a little. I'm thinking sort of with this piece of hair. here is kind of a tangent. So, good idea to try it. It's just, these are fun. Then come in and break apart this silhouette a little bit. I'm just kind of eyeballing areas that seem to kind of jump out at me. I can correct or fix or... What I might need to do to make this level up a little bit is fix this skull. And I don't want to. Being real with you guys, I kind of don't want to. Like if the goal was to make a portfolio piece, yeah, this is fine. This is as good as anything else in my portfolio, so, you know, that's kind of how I view it. Something real quick. Talking about not being, you know, not being too holier than thou with what we have. If need be, we can just assist later. If this might actually be a better silhouette. Actually, I think that might be a way better silhouette. It's true. Yeah. We Ooh, or maybe something like that. Where it's sort of like the flares leading into here. And then we can do a few hits. Yeah, that's a way better silhouette. Here. Then let me actually fix the angle of this. Make that gold, but chest right there. We needed this up. Here we go. So I think we're pretty close to done on this. You know? So if we want to save as, it's fine. Not that. So I'll show you guys real quick. First, let me clear up some room here, because I need to swap back over here to make sure that my Photoshop does not have client work on it. Open. Right. There we go. Okay. We have this. Looking pretty good. It's funny because, you know, near the start of the stream, this is kind of where we started. Started this. This one's a little more aggressive because of all the angles and the sharp edges and stuff like that, but I think this is just a better vibe. We could also come and kind of correct if we wanted to do some actual mountain rendering type stuff. We could do that. We don't need to. So yeah, we have these buildings right here, you know, and nothing super elaborate, just some silhouette type stuff. But what I was thinking we could do, if we can go right here, edit, fill, pattern, and we do a overlay. Don't actually need it for a whole lot of stuff. We can let me round it. Around here we can sort of get rid of it. Off type stuff. Skin. So let me get the airbrush and do some of this out. We have little bits of the brush strokes around, but they're not overpowering. Nice kind of wet into wet stuff that we had. Let me see if I have some sort of... Let me do this. I'm gonna go look at pixels or something, see if I can find a quick mountain. I know I have a whole bunch of reference packs that I bought. Mountains. Bring this over here. There's a specific type of, whenever I look for references, there's a specific type of ref that I normally go for. I try to, something like this might work. I see what I need, and actually I like the painterly mountain back here and everything right here. It's this one, and also where he's standing, that I might want to introduce a little bit of photo texture. This rock right here is not important, really. It's just there to frame. So we can keep that painterly too. But it's this and this. So if we have... craggy look. I mean, it's a snow mountain. Shouldn't actually matter. Copy image. Let's see if we can go to edit. Paste. And what you do, see, we kind of need it over here. An overlay. Here, do this. It works out pretty well. Something like that. And then with the eraser, erase this. And what you can do to make it a little more natural looking. Because right now it absolutely looks like a photo texture, right? You can either lower the opacity, which is a good move, or even better, you grab yourself painterly brush. Let's do that one, sure. I'm going to blend this in a little bit. Do the main one. Works pretty good. A layer mask. down. This opaque a little bit more even. Cool. That's weird. I wonder if that's a little visual glitch inside of Photoshop. It's showing me a transparent as I come out here. Okay, so we have this. Another fun thing we can do is what I like to call vibrance, which is just literally in Photoshop. There's a button here called vibrance. You can crank this vibrance up. So what it is it's a more nuanced version of a saturation increase. So it doesn't break the actual light and dark value. Like it doesn't break it. It does stretch it a little bit. But really it just makes your colors a deeper version of the color. Whenever you mess with saturation, it also is taking in the light and it makes it look kind of gumpy. So perfect example, let me do if I do vibrance, and you can see how it's like shifting stuff to be a little more like, so this is what it is at a 0. Everything is just sort of like emphasized, right? Just sort of like really introduce that harsh yellow and like cranks it. But a saturation will literally just break it. Like I'm gonna turn this back to 0. Saturation just, I hate the saturation slider. I think it makes everything look disgusting. Look at that. It's just, it doesn't do it. So if we're cranking it at 100, like that is insane, right? It's like an acid trip. But even if I crank vibrance to 100, it's more nuanced. It's a little more mature, you know? So what I do, one of my little tricks, is I will get the vibrance steel. I will crank the vibrance right here. And then on the mask, sometimes what I like to do is grab the standard. Oh, let me just reset these. Set green. Then I'll come in and I will do a radial gradient where everything on the outskirts is less vibrant than where I want the viewer to look. You know what I mean? So I can just do that. Vibrance. That up. Now that's super saturated. You see what I mean? Like we can temper it. And you can really see what's happening whenever I lower it. Whenever you heighten it. Nice way to go. Right? Ever clip photos to an object with a flat color and then erase? So the flat color. So do you just mean like if you're painting a mountain and you blocked in the mountain and it's just one color, then you bring the texture in? Because I always like to start with a painting. So like if I know it's going to be a mountain, let's say, I'll actually kind of paint in the mountain first. Because the only thing I ever use a photo texture for, and I don't really use them all that often, but the only real thing that I use those textures for is like a slight bit of information. And then what I'll normally do, kind of what I did here, I will integrate it to make it look like the paint strokes. Like I never want it to look like, oh, that's where he used a photo. Like I don't ever want that to be the thing. I just want the photo texture to help give me information that then I can use to paint. Because there's a certain type of noise that a mountain has as opposed to a cloud or grass, or there's a certain just visual cue that our eye sees that I want to be able to integrate into the painting, but I have to see it on my canvas first, and then I'm like, oh, the grass mound here looks way more quote-unquote rendered because it's a photo texture. So let me bring that down a little bit, and then I can visually see how noisy it is, like how much visual information is it giving me. Then I basically just use that as the blueprint. And I'm like, okay, it needs to kind of look like this, going all the way through. With a clipping mask, yeah. I mean, yeah, I think it's a good way to go if you need it to be a very exact shape. But every once in a while, if it's just like me doing what I did here, I'll just throw it on there, and then I'll just get an eraser and erase everything out. You could do it with a clipping mask, but that, once again, is more... I don't know, it's more work, you know? I would rather just throw that. Yeah, I would paint it first. That would be the way to go, I think, at least the way I work, because I know what it's going to be, so I might as well just try my hand at painting it. And sometimes it's good enough. It's like, okay, great. You know, that kind of looks a little like a mountain. Like the stuff back here, this is all paint strokes. But like if you zoom back, it kind of looks like a, you know what I mean? Like it's fine enough. It's not our focal point, so we really don't have to worry about it. But knowing that this is up close, and you can see the canvas textures and stuff we have right there, it's hard to even tell there's a photo texture here. And that's the point. It just looks like maybe some grungy brushes. But that's the thing, is I never want it to look like, oh, they painted a mountain, so they used the mountain brush. I'm like, boop, you know. It just takes away from it, because then your eye is very confused on why is there so much detail on that mountain, and everything else is like really loose and painterly. Like, well, you got to equalize it. You got to make it part of the piece. That's where a lot of people that like to photo bash kind of get caught up in it, is because they're like, oh, the photo gives us so much good texture, which is true, but it's in focus. The texture is in focus. If you're using photo textures for every single texture on your painting, the entire thing's in focus. And depending on the lens that was used to take the picture, the depth of field, the focal point of that photo, you know what I mean? And then you're mixing 12 photos, all taken with different cameras, all at different times of day, all, you know, it starts to look real weird. It looks like a collage instead of an integrated painting. So I would always say paint first. Just make your painting first. And then use any sort of like photo texturing to like sprinkle in the seasoning. But the meal itself should already taste good. You know what I mean? You're really just like, I really just kind of added in that mountain texture to help give a little more visual oomph to what's already here. But it's not overpowered. Like I said, if no one watched this stream, or if they didn't know that I was painting it live or whatever and didn't see me add the photo texture, you would be remiss to be able to even see it. Because everything else has that slight kind of painterly look and all these textures and stuff. You just zoom down here and it's, yeah, just more texture. It's not anything in particular, but we know that it is a photo. So yeah, that's the reason why photos can look really off, is they're all taken with different cameras by a different photographer at a different time of day, at a different perspective. I mean, especially perspective. That's your number one killer right there. Whenever you're looking for a photo reference, please find a photo that matches your perspective. Because if you're trying to do an undershot and then you have a thing of a castle or something and it's like an overhead, whenever you add that, you'll be like, well, why does that look wrong? Well, because it completely broke your illusion that you're trying to do doing like an under, like looking up, and then you're seeing the top of something that doesn't make any sense. That's like an MC Escher thing, you know? And if you're going for that, great. But like, hard to do, you know? Another thing, since we're here, another thing we can do. So we did the vibrance. Subtle, but it's fine. Another thing we can do, if we select all, edit, copy merged, and paste onto a new layer, that way we can come up here and go to image adjustment. No, not adjustment. What do I need? Filter. Here it is. Filter, sharpen, unsharp mask. What this is going to do is this really kind of crispies up our edges. What if I use Photoshop's AI to balance most of the aspects? I would say, I mean, I wouldn't personally go that route because I'm very just anti anything AI. Oh, I don't use like ChatGPT. I don't use any of that stuff. It could, but then the control is out of your hands. And I think what really builds confidence is having the control. Because whenever you have control, you're allowed to also make mistakes, right? But if the AI makes everything better, or if the AI is smoothing out the rough edges, like, that's the rough edges is the decision making. Like, that's the part that's going to give it that a little bit of life to it. Because if you kind of get it to where it's all sort of like milk toast and, well, got rid of that and it smoothed that out and a deal that at a certain point your box becomes, you know, has no sharp edges anymore. It has, you know, you've rounded the edges. Everything's too safe. So then there's nothing for the viewer to really look at. Like, it probably could. Yeah, it could, you know, reevaluate what you're trying to do and try to do that. And I, you know, might even get it right every once in a while. But I think there's more power in really letting your process, as far as making the good or bad decision, inform what you're making. Because you're going to be happier as a result because it's yours. But like, probably your biggest fear should be that you're going to make a piece of art, you work really hard on it, you use AI for, you know, a little bit here and a little bit there. And then whenever you post it up, the only thing people mention is how good the parts are that are AI. They may not know that you used AI for part of it, but they'll be like, oh, I really loved how that sunset looks. Well, that's the one part of the painting I didn't do. You know, like, you're going to chop your, you know, head off to spite your face. It's not going to be a good time. I do think the vulnerability of getting it wrong is where art lives. Like, that's sort of the whole idea of this, which is why it's such a miracle when it turns out good, right? But yeah, unsharp mask, I love it. This basically makes any changes of contrast, whether that's value or color or anything, crispy. It literally gives it like a little outline. So I'm at 40%. If I would crank it all the way up, you see how it makes it really like, oh man, super like, almost like how the saturation just blew it out. But if you have it at about a 40% or so, and then you can adjust the radius and thresholds and all that stuff. But really what it does is now we get to come in here and you can see some of these edges are real crispy. But whenever you zoom out, the whole thing just pops a little bit more. A little bit more. You know, just is what it is. So if I were to like hide this and show it, and then hide it, and then show it, you can't even really tell what it is. but like the nuances and the impasto work from Rebel, it like catches onto those, and it just stretches them just a little bit, you know. I think that might do it. There's little things I could come in and fix, but I mean, I don't think adjusting this and like smoothing that out and like getting rid of it and that, I don't think that's going to like make or break the painting. You know what I mean? Like, I think the painting's kind of done. I think it's sort of where it needs to be. It's sort of here. Yeah, I think that's decent enough to put on a portfolio thing. You know, it's a little looser. It's a little more sketchy oriented. I think our next thing that we could do is we could do another like how we did the lemons. We could do maybe a master study portrait or something. Something a little bit different than this, because this was imagination. It was, you know, throw stuff at the wall. If it looks cool, keep it. If it doesn't, fix it. You know? But yeah, for something for Orc-Tober, that's sort of the idea, right? Just make it look cool. Doesn't really matter if it's like quote unquote correct or not. What's up a little bit? But yeah, overall, I think I'm pleased enough with it. I think we had a little fun time with it. Maybe go in and add like an eye glint or something a little more. But overall, not a bad little piece. I could, you know, that could work okay. I would do some slight adjustments if this were like a magic card, and I'd probably render the hell out of it. But yeah, this is the type of approach I would take on a Magic the Gathering. In fact, this is almost the exact approach I took whenever I made the more recent ones, which I should be able to talk about next year. Well, definitely next year, but I just don't know when next year. They're going to announce it. But I start on the next ones here in about a week and a half for the other set that I'm doing. This is going to be good. So yeah, there's our Orc Boy for Orc-Tober. I'll probably post this one up on the Discord too. That way you guys can download it and zoom in and all that stuff and see how all that works. I should probably post up the PSD file, make all these layers, make a full PSD file and post that up on the Patreon or something. That'd be a fun treat. I haven't done a Patreon post in a while. Sorry, patrons, for not doing the Patreon post. But I could do that. And then tomorrow is going to be a fun one. We are going to be doing fighting game stream. In fact, after I get off of here, literally, I'm going to go and fix the fight stick. So that way we can start learning a new character. Start learning Sagat. Or no, M. Bison, not Sagat. We're going to learn M. Bison. And then we're going to learn that. Play some fighting games a little bit. Get mentored by our good friend Marco, who is a pro at fighting games. In fact, so much of a pro, I think right now he is doing commentary. Or let me see if he is doing commentary somewhere. Let me mute this real quick. Let's see where Marco might be. See if he posted on socials. It may not have even started yet. Let me bring this over. If he's calling something, Okay, looks like it hasn't started yet. He will be calling a tournament today. See, the links didn't post up. Post it up on the Discord. We can do that. I wonder if maybe YouTube has a anti-URL filter thing up right now. Yeah, they didn't show up on my end. Yeah, send them that way. We could take a look. Do it almost like a Richard Schmid type portrait. Maybe use Rebel, something like that. And then sometime, God knows when, probably New Year's, 2026, we'll bust out the traditional art stuff. We'll do some acrylics, we'll do some oils, all that. I've been meaning to get back to it, but I need to get a good setup for here. That way we can actually, we can actually do the thing. But I think that is it for me for today. We will be here tomorrow doing some Street Fighter goodness, maybe some Grand Blue, but if we got Marco on the line, we'll probably stick with Street Fighter. Try to get some, tutorial stuff done with M. Bison. Might do the ranked matches, kind of see where I'm at. I'm probably going to be Rookie or Iron. I don't see myself winning hardly anything. Not yet. We're getting used to the control stick, the fight stick, stuff like that. So it'll be a fun one. We'll just be able to chill. And then Wednesday, we will start up another little art stream. I might start on the portrait stuff. Then that way we can come back to it the week after. It'll be a fun one. But then next week is when we're going to be showing off some of the Orc-Tober artwork that was made on the server. We're going to take a look at it, give our thoughts, showcase it, all the talent that is on the Discord. We're going to showcase everybody. All right, guys, that is my time. You guys take care. I will see you all tomorrow for some Street Fighter action. Should be a lot of fun. But until then, go make cool art. Go post your stuff on the Discord for Orc-Tober. Let me link up Discord real quick. If you're watching, if you're watching the old video on demand, you have a link to it right there. But that's it for me. Go out there, make cool art. We'll see you tomorrow for some Street Fighter.